All right, awesome. So welcome to tonight's Royalty Movement Team Training. I'm here with Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Just to give you guys a little bit about who we are for my new people on here. Marcus and I are the creators of the Royalty Movement. We've been in my econ now for 10 years. 10 years we have been involved in this company, and honestly, no regrets. We're still just as passionate about it as we were 10 years ago when we joined. Now, during that 10-year time span, because why would you stick with an online business for 10 years? What have we been able to accomplish? I'm glad you asked. We have both, when we joined, we were working jobs. We applied the strategy that we are going to teach you tonight, and we were both able to give ourselves a pay raise on our job, leveraging the W-4. On top of that, we were both able to get our credit scores in the 800s. We have become debt-free twice. We purchased a home off market. We've been remodeling all cash. We completely quit our jobs. We've replaced our job income, both of us. We haven't worked a job in almost 10 years. Multiple investment accounts. I can go on and on. The company is amazing. But again, one thing about us, we were plugged in, we were tuned into everything that was going on. And it's really, honestly, not hard to do. If you could dedicate about an hour, maybe two per week, if you can make sure you're on the calls, if there's a meeting going on in your area, attend it. If there's a Super Saturday, make sure you're on. Make sure you take notes and make sure you apply. You can definitely you can do some amazing things with this company. All right, I'm going to turn off my screen. I am going to share my screen, and we are about to get started.
And let me go ahead and preface the training that we're about to do right now, because at the end of the day, a lot of times people are familiar with the W-4 because they've heard us talk about it over and over again. But for those of you who are not, the power of the W-4 serves a lot of different purposes when it comes to you using it in your strategy to hit your financial goals. You see a lot of people, especially at the beginning of the year, have financial goals that they want to accomplish. They want to get out of debt. They want to better their credit. They want to generate more income, whether they say it or not. Most people start this year off with goals. They want to go for more in 2024, whatever their slogan is, whatever their motto is. I'm sure cash flow or increase, abundance is in their goals in some way, shape, form, fashion. That said, what we found out is that a lot of times when it comes to people getting out of debt or lowering their credit card utilization, that most people felt as though it was too hard to get out of debt because they were already barely making ends meet. So they needed more cash flow. And sometimes in order to get more cash flow, it's not just about making more money. It's about giving less money away. Did you know that over millions of Americans overpay in taxes to the tune of $200 to $800 every single month? Well, what if we could show people how to get $200 to $800 and sometimes even over $1,000 coming back into their household? How much more faster could they eliminate their debt? A whole lot faster. So what my econ has done is taught people how to use the W-4 as a strategy to get out of debt. This same strategy has allowed people to pay off over 6 figures in debt within a year's time frame, or longer, depending on their scenario, or faster, depending on their scenario. So you got to understand the power of creating more cash flow using a simple tool that everybody has access to. They just don't know the right way to go about it. So this form has just been updated. So we wanted to make this a series training to where we go over this and let you know how to access it, how to operate it, so you can get the most out of this if this fits into your situation. For those who work a tax-paying job, let's go.
Yes, again, y'all, emphasis on the W-4 form is for W-2 employees only. So if you're 1099, if you're self-employed, this will not apply to you, okay? It is for job workers only. Now, if you notice my screen, and matter of fact, put a 5 in the chat if you can see my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen. You see it? Okay, perfect. So the very first thing we're going to do is go to the IRS website. That website is irs.gov. irs.gov. Now, if you look center screen where you see these options that says, how can I help? Directly in the center, it says, check your federal tax withholding. Check your federal tax withholding. I'm going to zoom in on that for you. All right. So we are going to click there first. Let's go over what this is and how it works. But first, let me show you the form so that I don't lose anybody. Okay, this is the form that we're talking about, guys. This is the 2024 W-4. This is the form that you fill out when you first get your job. You also are supposed to revisit this form every single year at the beginning of the year and or whenever your financial situation changes. And we're going to talk about what that means. But every single year, you should revisit this form to make sure, because you got to understand tax laws change. The government be all over the place sometimes. Things change. This form typically does not change every year. But since about 2022, no, really since about 2020, they have been changing this form a lot. So you need to make sure you stay in the know. As you can see also, this form is 4 pages. Some people don't know that. They think it's just this one page. It is 4 pages long. Are we going to go through this form? No, because I'm going to tell you what happened. The IRS created what's called the tax withholding estimator. So they came out with a tool that walks you through that form. It makes it basically easier for you, because here's what's happening. Years ago, they reported that over 100 million Americans were overpaying taxes. This was years ago. I'm talking about like 2010, 2011. They reported 100 million Americans were overpaying taxes. And it was mostly due to this form. Because this form was being filled out incorrectly, so many people were overpaying taxes. What does that look like? Well, for you as the employee, when you look at that check, if you cuss, if you say a curse word, when you look at how much in taxes came out, you're probably overpaying. Okay. And that's what was happening. People were looking at their paychecks like, why am I paying this much money in taxes? Whole time their W-4 either was not filled out at all or was filled out incorrectly. When you overpay taxes, you're giving the government your money throughout the year, interest-free. You're pretty much just giving them an interest-free loan. And what happens is at the end of the year, at the end of that tax year, they give it back to you, a portion of it, in the form of a refund. If somebody looks up the definition of refund, the word re means again. They're giving you your money again. They held that money all year long, interest-free, and then just basically threw you the chump change. Okay? So this form, they came out with this calculator to teach you how the form works, hopefully to help more Americans to get more of their money throughout the year. They want you to get more of your money throughout the year, but they made it even sweeter by now giving you options. You can get it throughout the year, you can get it all at the beginning of the next year, or you can do a mixture of both. I'll explain, okay? Let's talk about how it works, okay? You use this tool to estimate your federal income tax withholding, see how your refund, take-home pay, or taxes due are affected by withholding amount, choose an estimated withholding amount that works for you, and the results. This is very important, y'all. The results are as accurate as the information that you enter. I'll summarize that up for you. Do not lie. Do not be anxious to fill out this form. Do not guess your numbers. Oh, I think I make around 50,000. No, wait on your paycheck stub. I'm jumping ahead. What you'll need, your paycheck stub. Pay stubs not only for you and all of your jobs, but if you're family married, you need your spouse's paycheck stubs too. So guys, let me clear this up. In order for you to go through this estimator tool and adjust your W-4, yeah, you got to get your first check of 2024 first. So we're 10 days in? If you haven't been paid and you're not getting paid until maybe next Friday, you will fill out the form next Friday. If you've already gotten paid, say you get paid every week, you can go ahead and start filling out this form, okay?
And it works best when you've had a full check.
A full
so
check.
Even if you have got paid, if it wasn't a full check, with today just being the 10th, then you want to wait until you have a full check. That way the numbers that you submit are more accurate. Now, the power of this W-4 tool is that it minimizes the fear associated with it. So many times when people get accustomed or get exposed to the W-4, they're like, I don't want to touch that W-4. I know people who can touch the W-4 and they had to owe and they had to do this, back pay, all of these different things. Well, the power of the estimator tool is that it minimizes you having to worry about whether or not you're going to owe. You're going to be able to control how much money you get throughout the year, how big your refund is, or anywhere in between. You would have that control. So as you go through this, or we go through this, just understand that you can have a sense of security knowing that it's no guesswork. Back in the days when we was filling out the form, it was on paper. You just turn it into your HR department, and you just hope for the best at the end of the year or the beginning of the year. But now you can tell exactly what you're likely to get as long as your situation does not change. This is why you want accurate information. This is why you want a full check. And when they ask certain specific questions, the more accurate you are with what you submit, the more accurate your results at the end of the day. And my econ sweetens the deal for those of you who are builders or who have a side business or who use my econ to build a side business. Not only will this help you get more of your hard-earned money, we position you to get tax deductions. And when you get tax deductions, you offset the amount anyway. So what do I mean? Just in brief. And we'll talk a little deeper later, but in brief, if you are likely to get a small refund when you adjust this W-4 and you get some of your money throughout the year, well, let's say you had an extra $5,000 in tax deductions or $10,000 in tax deductions. Your small refund that you would have got just got bigger because you have more tax deductions now. So that's the power of making sure that you have a strategy to go along with it. The problem is so many people adjust their W-4 with no strategy, no game plan, no tools to show them how to pay off their debt faster. None of that. They just play with the form and then they find themselves in a predicament. You'll have a strategy to go along with the W-4 correction plus some tax deductions if you're building My Econ or any side business with the My Econ principles in place.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So outside of your paycheck stub, if you do make other forms of income, okay, say you have a side business, then you also want to bring that information, okay? Mostly they just want to know how much income you're making, if you're paying taxes on that income or not. All of this affects your refund, guys, because if you're making an additional stream of income, it could, depending on how much money you're making, put you in a different tax bracket. All of that will be calculated in this tool. Now, it also says that you need your most recent tax return. Typically, a person does not need their most recent tax return. It's really if you're going deep into, like, let's say you maybe adopted. It's really like stipulations on if you need your tax return or not. But for the most part, you will not need it. Okay, I'll just throw that out there. Let's keep going before I click on the tool. It says, do not use this tool if you have a pension but not a job. That's what the form W-4P is. We'll talk about that another time. You have non-resident alien status. Your tax situation is complex, okay? Complex. That's the word I was looking for. More on the tax withholding estimator, guys. We're not going through all of these links, but I wanted you to write down irs.gov so that you can go through and look at this on your own time. We teach 100% from irs.gov when it comes to this W-4 and when it comes to taxes. So if you want to contest or you don't, or you want to look deeper into anything that we're saying, it can be backed up on the IRS website. Okay, so that's why I wanted to take you here first. So you can read up on like the different publications. The form is here. A couple of things that I want you to see as well. To change your tax withholding, we'll talk about that. To keep it the same. Okay, right here. When to check your withholding. Okay, again, they recommend that you do this once a year and or whenever your financial situation changes or any type of major life change. Here are some examples. If you got a new job or other paid work, if you had major income change, whether that's a promotion or a demotion, you need to revisit this form. Marriage, whether that's you got married, you got divorced, you need to revisit this form. Childbirth, adoption, let's say you have a kid, let's say your kid, you can no longer claim your kid because they now have their own kid, or whatever the case may be. These are all changes to your financial situation to where you need to go and revisit this form. If you purchase a home, there's perks for that. Revisit this form, okay? Also, it tells you if you change your tax withholding mid-year. Now, I want to go ahead and debunk something because I know somebody's going to have this question. Somebody on here is thinking, well, I do 6 months on and 6 months off, right? That is an old trick from before they came out with this tool. And honestly, now that they have this tool, you do not have to do that. You don't have to do 6 months on, 6 months off, or 6 months of not paying any taxes at all. Plus, you got to understand when you're not paying any taxes at all, that raises a red flag to the IRS. You know that they can detect that, right? So we just want you to do everything the right way according to the IRS. It says that if you did change it mid-year, check your tax withholding at the end of the year and adjust as needed. That's more so talking about, say you had a major life change in the middle of the year and you had to change your form. They're telling you to revisit again at the end of the year, okay? Over here on the right, why do you want to check your withholding? There's several reasons. I can sum this all up for you. Guys, it's to make sure that you're not underpaying or overpaying taxes. This form controls what comes out of your paycheck. That's why you want to revisit it, period. The end. All right, let's go through it. So I'm going to click use the tax withholding estimator. And as you can see, there are 6 steps. Step number 1 is all about you. Now, listen, as we go through this series, we're going to have, some of y'all are going to reach out to us and ask about specific situations. We do this every year. We're going to go through every situation. So every filing status that you see here, we're going to do it, okay? So you don't have to reach out to us. We have a full series that we do on our social media and everything to keep you in the loop. So this is all about you. Nobody can tell you what to put here but you. Question number 1, what filing status will you use for your tax return? We're just going to go with single. This is just an example, and we do not have a paycheck stub in front of us. So we're just going to give you like a vague example until we get one.
Number 2, do you or will you have a job or pension that regularly withholds federal income taxes from your paycheck or pension payments? Now, this is what you got to understand. Anytime you see a question, it's usually a question mark on the end. So if it's something you do not understand, you're unsure. Say you do receive a pension and you're like, I'm not sure about this question. You can always hit that question mark and it lets you know a better explanation of what it is that they're asking. So right here it says periodic paychecks or payments of federal withholding. If you're an employee, your employer probably withholds income tax. So it just breaks down what they mean by having regular amounts withheld in the form of federal income tax. For most people, that's going to be a yes. So we'll select yes. Select any that apply. I plan to claim dependents on my tax return. I will be 65 or older. I'm blind. I can be claimed as a dependent. So pick whichever applies to you. For many people, it's going to be they claim a dependent on their tax return, but on this one, we're just doing the basic, right? Single, no kids. Mm-hmm. All right, so on this one, we'll leave it blank. But in many cases, you'll just select what applies to you. And if you have a question, tap that question mark. Income and withholding. All right, so when it comes to the income and withholding, this is where you need to have your ducks in a row. This is where you need to have your paycheck stub because it's going to talk about your income because that's what it's based on. So income and withholding. Enter information for each job and pension you will receive income from this year. So I want to make something clear. It says enter the information from each job or for each job. So if you have more than one job, then you'll be filling out more than one W-4. If you have more than one form of income that gets federal income taxes withheld, then you will indeed fill out more than one W-4. So it's just important to make sure you understand that so you're not caught off guard. You want to submit all of the income that is being taxed so that way your numbers are even more accurate. To use this tool, you need to have a job or pension subject to tax withholding. If you have Social Security income and you prefer to have tax withheld from your job or pension to cover that additional income, select two or more sources of income and enter information for your job or pension first. After that, you will be able to enter your Social Security income. So they're just letting you know, listen, if you got Social Security income, which is not being taxed, it's going to be important for you to put that information in addition to this. And if you want to have more taxes coming out to offset that tax-free income, then you can. So they're trying to prep you. And as you get down to the end of the W-4, you'll know what position you'll be sitting in. You just got to know to submit all of your income so that the numbers line up. And for some people, this is not typically our recommendation, but for some people, they like to pay a little extra to make sure they don't owe. We're more so of the belief of get majority of your money to use it strategically to invest, get out of debt, but also position yourself to have some tax deductions throughout the year. Let that be the thing that gives you that cushion, that extra security, that extra comfort that you need. Hopefully that makes sense. All fields marked with an asterisk are required. That's pretty typical in the online filling out things world. How many jobs will you have this year in which federal income taxes regularly withheld? Include this year's past, present, and expected future jobs. Now, hopefully you don't have a past job already. Like hopefully you didn't start off the new year and you're not ready to quit and you got to claim on 3 days that you worked at that seasonal job. So hopefully that ain't you. But when you're watching this, depending on when you're watching this, it may be later in the year. You may have already chunked the deuces because people don't mind quitting these days. They get a job and they'll let it loose in a heartbeat. Anyway, that being said, the first one has been added for you. So we're going to leave it at one. One job. Your first income source. Describe the source of income. Got salary, hourly job, pension, Social Security, none of the above. Now, for this one, we're going to choose hourly. But like I stated earlier, if you're unsure, hit the question mark. It breaks down each one. Salary job, explanation. Hourly job, explanation. Pension, explanation. Social Security, explanation. They're breaking it down, trying to make it plain. Each and every year, it seems like it gets a little bit better, a little more detail, and just gives a little bit more value to minimize confusion. Select what best describes when you earn income from this job. All year, January 1st through December. I currently hold this job, but only for a portion of this year. Like if you already know it's a temporary position, you had this job earlier this year. I do not hold this job yet. I expect to start this job later this year. So they're in this section having somebody to fill it out before they even get the job. Not what we recommend because you want to have, an example of how many taxes were being withheld. So in this case, we're going to do all year because that's the expectation. You expect to have that job all year. You're not planning on leaving. You're not planning on getting fired. None of that. So we're going to do all year. But if you know your situation is different, fill it out accordingly. How frequently are you paid? And this is important to know because this very little switch up can be the thing that confuses you. So you have weekly, you got every 2 weeks, twice monthly, once a month. It's a difference between every 2 weeks and a difference between twice monthly. Every 2 weeks is more so every other Friday. So if it's a month that has 3 Fridays in it, you might get paid 3 times. However, twice monthly is like getting paid on the 1st and the 15th or the 5th and the 20th. Some teachers get paid on the 5th and the 20th. So just know the difference. And like I stated, you can always hit that question mark and then it just kind of breaks down a little bit of what I just said. But hopefully you know which one. Most people, well, it varies. Different people get paid different ways. But in this case, we're just going to say twice monthly. That could be the 1st and the 15th. Using your most recent pay stub, when did your most recent pay period end? Now, like I stated, this is early in the year. So with it being early in the year, matter of fact, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do weekly. Let's do weekly. I'm going to do weekly just because we have at least had a full week. So today being the 10th, we'll say that the most recent pay period ended on the previous Friday. So they got a bit of a full weekend. What was your most recent pay date? And we'll also say that Friday. It typically won't play out like that because it'll be 7 days. But for the sake of the example, we'll just say they got paid Friday as well. Select the option that best describes your current situation. My last paycheck was a good representation of how much I earn on average each pay period. My paychecks vary week to week, averaging 2 to 3 paychecks will provide a more accurate picture of how much I make. Now, typically, if you do it like we instruct with having your paycheck stub, you just select that first. This is just an example. We know that these are not accurate numbers. We're just winging it just so you can get an understanding of how to flow through it. So don't worry about these numbers and, how the math may not math, but I just want you to know that this is the process. This is the flow. Typically, you'll select that first one. Enter wages per pay period. We're going to say that this person makes, let's just say they make $1,200 a week. Per pay period. So we're going to say 24. We're going to just say 2,400 per pay period. Enter wages earned
weekly
year to date per pay period. Oh, we're doing weekly, so we'll do 12. That's right. If that's weekly,
nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it.
All right, 1,200. Enter wages earned year to date. So year to date, we're gonna say that it was the first week they got paid. So it matches. Most of the time, if it's your first paycheck, it will match. If you've already had 3 or 4 paychecks, then your year to date would be multiplied based on how many paychecks you received. Based on the information provided, it looks like your annual income from this job is $62,400. Is this correct? We're just going to say yes. We know these aren't accurate numbers based on it only being 10 days in, but we're going to say yes. 62,000 seems pretty correct. Enter the federal taxes paid per pay period. Now I'm just going to do some math. Okay, if they got $1,200 a week, they're sitting at about $4,800 for the year. We're going to give them so we're going to say that per pay period, which they get paid weekly, we're going to say that they get taxed about $250. So there'll be $1,000 that they got taxed for the month. Enter federal taxes paid year to date.
I just want to reiterate, guys, the reason why he's entering $250 twice is because this is the first paycheck of the year. Okay? So if he waits till there's another paycheck, enter federal taxes per pay period will be $250, but then year to date will be $500, and that amount is going to go up after every single paycheck. This will be on your paycheck, but I just have to explain that because some people do mess up right here with us doing double numbers. It's only because this is the first paycheck of the year.
Very important. Select any that apply for this job. You contribute to the 401k. If that's you, put it in and, let the math add up based on what you see on your check stub. Contribute to a health insurance plan. Getting a bonus. Got a bonus. None of the above. You see, they want to know everything. They want to know if you got a bonus so they can tax it right. If you're getting a bonus, you know what I'm saying? They want to know if you got it already. Hey, we know you got that bonus.
It's coming.
We know you got that bonus. Go ahead and select this box. Or you getting a bonus. They want to know if it's coming because they know some people will come in here and adjust their W-4 because they're like, oh, I'm going to have a fat one next week. They're going to drop their bonus. They want to know. They didn't always have both of them options.
Yeah.
But now they want to know a little bit more. Let's see what that question mark say just for laughs. All right. Nothing major. Okay, I thought they were going to say something specific. But it just breaks down, what they consider to be a bonus or supplemental income, not just limited to just a bonus. So this can be in the form of payments for accumulated sick leave. They want to know that. Severance pay. We need to know that. Overtime pay, commissions, awards, prizes, back pay, retroactive pay increases, and payments of non-deductible moving expenses. Come with it.
Listen.
That's what they want to
know. Y'all know the IRS is Debo, okay? That's why you don't lie on this form. The thing is, they're really playing. They're asking you these questions, but they can find out.
True.
Trust and believe they will find out. They just want to see if you're going to keep it real on the front end.
And the reason why they can find out is because your employer, if they're doing business the right way, they're taking it as a tax deduction. They're not paying you in a way that's not going to benefit them. All of your wages are tax deductible. Bonuses, tax deductible. Overtime, tax deductible. So they're writing it off anyway. So it's good to submit it. But this is why we're big on you got to have you some tax deductions. I cringe when people are scared to make side income. Yeah. Because side income equals additional tax deductions. Yeah, you'll make some extra money, but you unlock hundreds of tax deductions that can turn into thousands of dollars per year in tax deductions. If the IRS is going to be having a strategy to get your money, you got to have a strategy to keep your money. And that's what income shifting, that's what my econ is all about. All right, so we'll leave these parts blank as it relates to, things that apply. We don't have anything extra that we're adding in here. Other sources of income. They want to know everything. Do you have any sources of income? So if you know that you have some net self-employment income, then you will enter that. A lot of us will have some self-employment income. Let's read this just because I know this may fit a lot of people. This is the amount of income, such as a professional fee paid to you and or any other compensation you expect to receive for work performed in your business, minus deductible expenses, include net earnings from partnership income subject to self-employment tax. So this would be my econ. This would be if social media is cutting you a check. This would be if you have a tax business on the side. All of these are representations of self-employment income because it can be hit with the self-employment tax. Now they want to know the net version. So if you already know this number, say you made $1,000, but it took you $200 to make that 1,000. Like you had to pay for some fees, some upfront, whatever. So the net would be $800. So you will put that in based on, your best estimate. And it's early in the year, so sometimes it won't be all the way accurate in this, but this is why it's going to be important for you to have good record keeping and make sure that you are claiming all your tax deductions. As many as you can. I recommend claim everything, and then when it's time to file taxes, you let your tax pro let you know if it's something you can keep or not. But track everything. That's very important. Investment income, they want to know about that. Unemployment insurance income, other sources of income, none of the above. They want to know everything. And a question mark breaks down each one. Withholding and estimated tax payment on other sources of income. So withholding from other sources of income into the amount of taxes withheld to date this year from your other sources of income. Let's click just so we can see. Withholding from other sources of income. Some of the payers of these other income types may have withheld federal income tax from you from the amounts of income they pay to you. If so, enter here the sum of all such amounts of tax withheld this year. The amount of tax withheld should be indicated on the payment confirmation they gave you at the time of payment. So if you receive some other income that was taxed, whether you took some money out of your investment account and you opted to go ahead and have that federally taxed, then that will be considered a source of income. So you name it, if it's a form of income, if it was taxed, just have it, on standby so you can enter it. Estimated tax payment. Enter the amount of estimated tax payments you made to date this year. And this is where some people decide that they want to pay a little bit extra to position themselves and hopefully not owe, basically. So taxpayers are generally required to take the initiative to prepay tax throughout the year on income not subject to withholdings by the payer. So if you get self-employment tax, some people are like, you know what, let me go ahead and prepay my amount that I anticipate owing, which is not a bad idea. This is where you will put that information in. If you did prepay taxes based on money that was not taxed. Again, tax deductions are going to be very important because it can offset all of this, but this is just an opportunity for you to position yourself to not have to worry about owing at all. Now, I know that was a lot, but let's go next.
All right. And as you can see, y'all, the IRS, they're going to get all up in your business again. They want to know everything you're bringing in, everything that's going out. So just be truthful and make sure you have your paycheck stubs in front of you. All right. The next step is adjustments to income. Adjustments reduce the amount of your income subject to taxes. Many taxpayers don't have large enough adjustments to income to have a significant impact on their tax obligation. So you'll select any of these that apply, whether it's student loan interest, educator expense, and you see a question mark next to each of them. If you don't know what this is, or you think you may have something in this category, just click that question mark. I don't want to open those all up and drag out the call. Health savings account deduction, moving expenses for members of the armed services, alimony, penalty for early withdrawal, certain business credits. So you'll just select whatever applies. Now, next, we are going to talk about deductions. Okay, now some of you are familiar with the standard or itemized deductions. Standard or itemized deductions reduce the amount of your income subject to tax. Most people do take the standard deduction, but you may be itemizing your deductions if you have a mortgage, large gifts to charity, or large medical expenses. Okay, I'll break this down to the best of my ability. The standard deduction is basically an allowance that the IRS gives you based on your situation. So with this person being single, not having any children, the standard deduction, which is actually going up, is showing $14,600. Now, if he feels that, no, I would rather itemize instead of taking your standard, when I itemize, I feel like the amount would lower my taxes even more. I can do better than the standard deductions. This is where people keep a hell of a lot of receipts, okay? I'm talking about writing off gifts and tithes and all business expenses and anything associated with an office, utilities, vehicles. Sometimes they have company vehicles. I mean, I can go on and on. They're keeping receipts of all of that, trying to get their taxable income down lower.
And a lot of times it's like medical expenses and things of that nature, but this is what people don't realize. When it comes to itemized deductions, that's different from business deductions. Itemized deductions are different from business deductions. So you got to make sure that it's going to be worth your time to itemize. In many cases, the standard deduction is the best thing for most people, but I just wanted to point that out because it's like alternatively, you might itemize your deductions, which would be to your advantage if your total itemized deduction exceed your standard deduction, as the Queen was just breaking down. If you're unsure if you should take the standard deduction or itemize, you can view deductions and input them. The tool will then determine which is higher for you. For more information about determining if you should take the standard deduction or itemize, see topic 501. So that will break down the things that could qualify. Not everything qualifies or falls under the Schedule A for an itemized tax deduction. Very important.
Yeah, absolutely. So in this example, we are going to take the standard again. Most people, most Americans do take the standard deduction, okay? So we're just going to take the standard and hit next, okay? We're almost there. Now, this step goes over tax credits, okay? For my tax preparers on here, tax credits are amounts you subtract directly from your tax obligation. How old will you be on January of next year? This right here is new. So I'm just going to put an amount in. I'm just going to put 38. Then it's going to ask you about all of these things right here to see if you qualify for any tax credits. You may or may not. You may or may not already know this before you even look at this form. Child independent credits. Of course, if you have children, they're going to ask you how old the kids are. They're going to ask you about child care related expenses, the earned income tax credit. All of that is going to be here. Adoption tax credit. Then you have your foreign tax credit, educational, and it'll tell you exactly what each of those credits are. Retirement, homeowner. I'm not going to open all of those up. Energy efficient vehicles. You would put all of that information in the designated section. And again, these things are directly deducted from your tax obligation and lowers it. You want to go in a little deeper on the child independent care or not really?
The main thing is these are the credits. These should sound familiar as it relates to you filing your taxes. They just want to know what you're typically likely to get in the form of the tax credits that you get. So that way, when you're filling out this form and you make it to the end, it's as accurate as it can possibly be. If you know you're accustomed to getting the child independent care credit, they would like to know that child tax credit, the earned income, the educate. They want to know that so they can make sure that you're not caught off guard when it's time to file taxes based on however you fill out this form. That's all it is in a nutshell.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Even with the earned income tax credit, if you do not know if you qualify or not, because sometimes people don't know, next to the earned income tax credit, if you hit that question mark, there's a link right here that will take you to another form for you to see if you qualify for the earned income tax credit. It'll tell you right then and there, yes, you qualify, or no, you do not. And then you'll come back here and fill this out accordingly. Okay, so we're going to skip all of this because in this example, the person is single with no kids. All right, then there is the results page. Now, according to this, he will still qualify for a refund, a projected refund of $7,426. And it tells them, okay, This is your results based on the information you entered. If you do not change your withholding, which is the W-4 form, more than necessary is being withheld from your paycheck.
Letting you know.
They're letting you know that more than what is necessary is being taken out of your check. What we gonna do about that? Okay. And then there's even a link. Now, y'all, this part is new. This is our first time seeing this with y'all. And it says, why am I getting a refund? Now, who would ask that? No, I'm just playing. Why am I getting a refund? And it tells you why right here. According to this person's situation, they are expected to pay $13,000 in taxes. I mean, they are going to pay. I'm sorry. If they do not adjust their W-4, they are going to pay $13,000 in taxes this year. However, their anticipated tax obligation, which means all the government wants him to pay, is $5,575. Sir, so you're going to just give away $7,000 throughout the year? They're telling you this, y'all. They're breaking this down. So this lets you know that the government, I mean, I'm not going to say they're all good, but this part of it is good because they're being very upfront with you. Hey, you're overpaying taxes. This is how. We don't want you to pay with this, but you're going to pay this. Why? That's why you're getting a refund. So they break that all down for you.
Yes, so that's very important. So as you can see, and like I said, we just wing some numbers, but it is at least letting you know that, hey, they're trying to put you on game. You are overpaying in taxes.
Yeah.
That's all they're saying. A refund in this case is an overpayment in taxes, especially if they're single, no kids, didn't have no credits, none of that. So let's see what they changed up about it next. To change the refund amount to approximately zero, submit a new Form W-4 as follows to your employer to adjust your withholdings. Why do I need to submit new Form W-4 or W-4P? How can I get a larger refund? So they have these two different options based on what they know. People are thinking. They know it's two people. They know it's somebody who wants to pay approximately get a $0 refund, get their money throughout the year, or somebody might want to get a larger refund. They're going to let you know what you need to do in both scenarios. So if I break down or if I expand, why do I need to submit a new Form W-4/W-4P? That's W-4 pension. It says you need to use Form Form W-4 to communicate with your employer or pension provider about your situation so that the right amount of tax is withheld from each payment for the balance of the year. Give me your desired outcome for this year. Note, however, that if you use the estimator to change your withholding by giving your employer or pension provider a new W-4 later than a month or so into the year, you should always use this estimator to help you submit a new form. Again, submit a new form again the following January, which will configure your withholding for a full year. So they typically don't, word it like this, but basically they're saying this is what it is. Now, this is just me expanding on why you need to submit a new W-4 based on this outcome. If I select how can I get a larger, well, before I expand on that, right here it says how to adjust your withholding W-4. So it's letting you know how to fill it out. Complete Form W-4, personal information, filing marital status. So it's breaking it down. And it's telling you where to put $412, $400 in $412 in a certain section. They letting you know exactly how to fill it out. So this is all new to us. And I believe this one is trying to get you to where you get all of your money throughout the year. I'm going to find out once I expand the second part of it.
Yeah, that's all throughout the year.
So this is you trying to get all your money throughout the year and get a refund of approximately $0. $0. And the reason why they had that option now is because it's still the beginning of the year. If it was February, you've already paid in a nice amount. There's no way for you to get a $0 refund if you already paid a certain amount in many cases. So it breaks down and tells you what you need to do. So on this, you would just be following the steps. Fill it out based on what they say on number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, all the way down to sign and date. Then you get to submit your Form W-4 to your employer as soon as possible for your changes to take effect. C, return to this estimator and fill out a new form in January. So they're letting you know, revisit this form every year or anytime your situation changes.
I'm just looking. I see that they no longer have that slider tool.
Right. That's what I know.
They got rid of it.
So the slider tool isn't there, but they're setting you up to either get no refund or a larger refund. So I'm interested to see what they say on this second portion, because I believe that's all based on that. So let's expand this and see what it does. And they still have the same example down here. So let's read what this says. To get a larger refund, when you file your tax return next year, you will need to have more tax withheld from your pay than the W-4 recommended here will produce. So basically it's saying, if you want a larger refund, pay more in throughout the year to get a larger refund. That's not the business that we're in, but they're just letting you know how to go about doing it. Let's see. You can accomplish that by adding an additional amount to withhold to the amount, if any, recommended here for step 4, leaving all the other entries on the W-4 the same as is recommended here. Notice that the step 4 amount tells your employer or pension provider how much more tax to withhold per paycheck. So, for example, if you want a refund of $750 and the W-4 recommended here as an amount of $50 on step 4C, which will result in a refund of approximately $0, simply divide your desired refund of $750 by the number of paychecks you expect to receive before January 1st. So they got you doing a little bit of math. They're going to make you put in a little extra work. Last time it was just a slider tool. So we're going to figure out some easier ways, simpler ways to really bring this to life so you'll know exactly how to go about doing it. And then it says, you do that before January 1st, then add the result to the $50 already on step 4C. So if the number of remaining paychecks is 10, then you would divide the desired $750 refund by 10, which is 75 more withheld per paycheck. So it's a lot of jargon, and it's a lot of, I can see a person getting confused on this part. But what they're doing is just basically trying to predict what you may be getting based on what you put in, how many more paychecks you got based on how often you get paid. And then once you know all of these numbers, you'll know how to better control how much you keep or how much more you pay in. So it's just going to be a matter of which one you want to do. And that will be what you put in that provided section. So we might have to do a deeper dive on this one just so we can simplify this, because I can see people getting confused. This is our first time seeing it, so you're seeing it first right here with us. And then it lets you know to be sure to use the estimator again next year in January, basically saying every year you want to revisit this form. But long story short, instead of them having a slider tool, for those of you who are familiar with the slider tool, you're going to be filling this out based on whatever your end result is. And then once you print it out, it's all about changing what's in that section 4. That's going to be the determining factor of, yeah, they said 4C, but right there it is in step 3. Well, that's the claimant of the dependents. Why should I leave step 4 blank? Other adjustments? Let me click on this. So this is the step 4C. Step 4 applies to if you have non-wage income. So yeah, so you're going to be filling out this form and adjust it based on whatever your end goal is. It's usually 2 goals. Either you want more or you want less.
All right, and another thing here, if you look in this box, there is a pre-filled out form where it's already pre-filled. So if I click that, I'll see if Zoom allows it. All right, so if I click the pre-filled form, look over on the right. They already filled it out for you. All you have to do is sign it and put in your personal information. I mean, I know it's just one number, but still, okay? They have it already pre-filled out. So you can print it yourself and do it or have it pre-filled. All right, y'all. I know that was lengthy. I know that was a lot of information, but again, you're just going step by step. You're filling it out according to your situation and according to your paycheck. I do want a volunteer that does not mind us taking a look at their paycheck and dissecting it and maybe talking about it on a call. We will block out your name and your personal information, but you know, we don't work jobs, so we don't have access to a W-4. If someone would volunteer, I would love to go over it. And you could just shoot me an inbox. You don't have to say it here. Just shoot me an inbox and let me know if I can use your example. Again, I'll block out your name, your information. It's just for educational purposes. So it'll only be here on our team training and on our YouTube.
Yeah. And basically that'll be for next week. So that'll be the 17th. So by then, many people would have gotten a full check. Unless you're on a monthly salary, you would have received a full check.
Yes.
So to be more accurate then. And then whenever you let us say you volunteer, let us know if you're the type that you want to have a low refund and give majority of your money throughout the year, or you're trying to get a larger refund, or you want to, you know, based on whatever it says towards the end. Just kind of let us know the details. We'll probably give an example to let you know both sides, but just let us know what your preference is. That way, at the end of that training, you will know exactly how your W-4 personally should be submitted.
Yes, and please, somebody who gets paid soon, okay? If you get paid this Friday and you get paid weekly, please send that to me if you don't mind. Shoot me an inbox, me, Marcus, us, or if you get paid next Friday, please, y'all, I need some volunteers, and I want to know your filing status. Let me know if you're single, married, you know, all of that jazz. Head of household, please let me know. And y'all, let's do some live examples. This will be fun. This will be super educational. And, you know, it's knowledge that you'll be able to talk about on your social media. All right, I'm going to stop the share, and I'm going to take questions. I saw somebody say they had a question. Okay, let me unmute. Sorry. Okay, how to do it. Oh, there it is.
Okay, y'all can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so situation here, right? I was laid off from my job. My last day was December 31st. Well, I got another job I'm getting ready to start down in Atlanta on the 29th. What is y'all suggestions for me because I'm getting ready to fill out this new hire paperwork when I go down there in 2 weeks? Should I wait? What's y'all suggestion on this?
Okay, so it looks like what you'll have to do is fill it out twice. Okay. So when you do your new hire paperwork, you'll fill it out to the best of your ability.
Okay.
But when you get your first paycheck, that's when you're able to use the estimator.
Okay.
So when you get that first check, go back to irs.gov and fill out a new one, and it'll be most updated.
Right. Okay. Thank y'all.
You're welcome.
I got a follow up too, y'all. Okay. So from that job that I was laid off from, and I had questioned this, y'all, when I first got on with the group, but I kind of just let it slide. But I got a severance pay from them. I really don't know how this gonna go because I definitely know based off what y'all just showed us, girl, that I'm paying way too much in taxes.
Okay, now the thing is, if I'm not mistaken, the severance pay counts as income.
Yeah, for sure. So what's your question though?
So, because I haven't even got the severance yet though, but that job ended December 31st. That's something that I'm gonna have to be claiming on this next year's taxes. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm too early even talking about it.
Yeah. But as long as you know it's gonna be counted as income, see what they take out federally.
Right.
You know, that would also be included in the W-4 because they asked about separate income, how it was taxed. So at least you'll know. And then you know, once you know, then you'll be able to better position yourself because, like you said, you're a year early, but still.
Absolutely. I got to have plenty of deductions. Okay, y'all. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, I'm excited for you with that severance pay. For real though. I hate to hear that you lost your job, but that severance pay be hidden. All right. Anybody else? All right. Now, y'all, it's a lot of comments in the chat. Hold on. So I need to wait until I get my first paycheck this year. I don't get it until Friday. Yes. Coco, as soon as you get it, go to irs.gov. And this training will be recorded, y'all. Watch it as many times as you need to. It'll also be on our YouTube. Watch it as many times as you need to so you can really get educated. And if you want to take advantage of the business side of things, I'm telling you right now, educating on this W-4 form has made me go viral over and over and over and over again on social media. So you know what that means. And social media is paying. That's only if you want to take advantage of the business side. Then you can most definitely, you know, earn big for just educating other people. Yes, I need to watch it over. No problem. And let us know if you have any questions. And y'all feel free to post your questions in the credit group, as long as they're not too personal. If they're really personal, then you can inbox us directly. Anybody else? Any other questions? I want my volunteers to inbox me. Okay, I see some inboxes coming through. Cool. All right, did we do good? Somebody said, yes, I want in on the business side. Now I cannot see your name. It just shows iPhone user. So tell me what your name is, and yeah, we can talk about that. No problem, Chantel. All right, y'all, questions going once? Oh, you need, go ahead and unmute, Queen. I see your hand raised. I didn't even see that at first. Yeah, just hop out there, just unmute. Oh, you can't unmute. Ooh.
Oops. Hey. Okay, so question. I've never filed married status. I've always put like head of household, but I know since they changed it last year, I put single and they just added my dependents on there. But when I was working, I was noticing ain't no taxes coming out my check or what's going on. So, when I finally got the kick and changed my W-2, and put single and how many dependents, then I noticed taxes was coming out the check. But I've been unemployed since October 9th. So what? I am legally married, but I've never filed marriage. I'm just trying to see, is it basically adding all our income up together?
Okay,
Gotcha. So basically, it's people who are married, but some choose to file separate, which would put you in head of household status if you're the one claiming the kids, or single if you're married and not claiming the kids. But it's just all situational. It's beneficial sometimes when people file head of household, but filing separately, depending on the circumstances. And then sometimes it's beneficial to do married filing jointly. When it comes to the W-4, however, you do want to fill it out based on how you think you're going to file taxes. That way, when they show the standard deduction, it's more in alignment with how you're going to file. So if you know you're going to file separate, then make sure when you fill out the W-4 form, it's in alignment with how you plan to file your taxes. Does that help? Does that make sense?
Cool. Now my next question is, I've been receiving my unemployment from my loss of my job, but I think I screwed up because I ain't been making it taxable. So I still have to claim that, right?
Right, you'll claim it as income. It's that's common. Okay. A lot of people do the unemployment but get it tax free, but you will still claim it as income because they're gonna claim it as income. So when you're filling out your W-4 and they ask for any additional outside income that wasn't taxed, you'll put that number in. That way you're not caught off guard. And it's really from a tax perspective. So if your job is gonna pay you $50,000 a year, but unemployment paid you $10,000, just throwing a number out there. Then you need to know that. Otherwise, they're gonna tax you on 60, and you're gonna wonder why. You know what I mean?
Cool deal.
So so that's the main thing. Having all your numbers together, putting it in the system, so that way the math makes sense at the end, and you're not caught off guard. You know exactly what to expect each year when you file.
Sounds good. I think that'll do it, guys. Thank you.
No problem. Great question.
All right. Yeah. Awesome question. All right. Anybody else? Any questions? Okay, Tia, I see you. Tia, you want to unmute or you want me to read it?
Hold on. Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
So my question is, what if your check has overtime on it? What should I wait until it average out to my regular, or should I still do it for the first one?
Okay, so you remember there was actually an option that asked you, is this like basically how your checks normally look, or will it have to be an average of 2 or 3 paychecks? Do you remember that step?
Okay, I did see that. Yeah.
That's where you would say, hey, this isn't my normal paycheck.
Okay.
And then they may ask you, if you have any other paycheck stubs or anything like that, but just see where it takes you after you do that. But yeah, that's where you'll select that.
And then my other question would be business part. Is that counting for 2023 or only for this year?
Which part?
The part when it asks about the business income, is that for last year, that what I made, or for 2024?
Oh, when you're filling out this W-4, that's all based on 2024.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you.
No problem,
Welcome. All right. Anybody else? Any other questions? I'm checking the chat to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. All right, y'all. Well, questions going once. Questions going twice. Okay, this is what we're going to do real quick, y'all. Stay on just a little bit longer only if you are interested in making money with my econ. If you're interested in additional stream of income, we're going to do a quick little training on that with our builders. If not, we are going to go ahead and release you here, but after you hear the mission statement. Let's go.
You see, we live in a world where we are conditioned for failure. And oftentimes we have been programmed or fooled into mediocrity. So people find themselves living like peasants instead of the royalty that they were meant to be. But you see here in the royalty movement, we see the king in you. We see the queen in you from start to finish. It's just time for you to take your seat on the throne, because this is where we uplift your character, your confidence, and your cash flow. As royalty, you should establish a solid financial foundation that will soon lead to your abundance and thriving empire. We want you to take your seat on the throne because you are royalty. Salute. Love y'all. Y'all have a good night.
All right.
For the builders, stick around. We'll be on.
Have a good night. If you are hopping off, take this information. Let's go. All right. Oh, let me stop the recording.